going to mangle this pronunciation. Compsognathus is a genus of small, bipedal, carnivorous theropoid dinosaur. Members of its single species, Compsognathus longpipes, could grow to around the size of a chicken. They lived about 150 million years ago during the Tithonian age of the late Jurassic period in what is now Europe. That's come up because of a scene at the start of, I think it's Jurassic Park 3. We were comparing that to, what was the context? Chihuahuas. That's it. Like dinosaur-like chihuahuas. I know our next guest is a massive Jurassic Park guy. Are you a purist and you prefer 1, or do you say 2 sneaky good, 3
I don't know
underrated?
That I've seen 3, now that I think about it.
You have seen 1 and 2?
Yes, for sure. I've seen 1 multiple times.
Were you into the whole phenomenon, or are you just kind of a bystander?
I think I saw 1 at my friend who you will know, Dana Wessel, who once upon a time worked here.
Yes.
And I believe his 35th birthday, he played that just on a loop. For a
Did he have one of those 140-inch screens or something in the basement?
It was a big screen. It was in a party room, but it was basically that was the mood setter for the evening.
Okay.
But I couldn't.
His 35th birthday, you said, not his 15th.
I mean, it was 30-something birthday.
That checks out for Dana.
This was somewhat recently. But I would not testify in court that I could tell you the details of 2 or definitely not 3. The beauty of this show, really. And the thing I look forward to is you come in, you step into the studio, you truly don't know
what
you're going to say. This one might take the cake, though.
I think you're right.
You're reading off genus, and I'm like, where's he going with this?
I have no idea. I think I mispronounced it
for the segment before.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
The best is when it's Kevin Seifert at training camp coming off the Vikings perch, and Dan will hit him with this, and he's no idea what's coming.
Well, here's the thing. Ultimately, it's a compliment to the guest, because I wouldn't do it with guests I don't feel are agile enough to handle.
Okay,
exactly.
So,
right.
I mean, that's the thing.
I'm feeling very agile today.
Yes.
That's what I've been
Agile
known for.
Aaron.
Really, my entire life is
Agile
agility.
Aaron.
Yeah. Athleticism, agility, everything.
Maybe that should be the new name of your podcast, Agile Aaron.
Yeah, change AaronGleeman.com to AgileAaron.com.
I bet you would sell.
I'm on the air for another hour, so do not go reserve that URL until I can get home.
Okay, fair enough. That works for me. Will we see you at Vikings training camp this year? By the way, we're chatting with Aaron Gleeman.
Yeah. Hi,
I have not given a proper introduction of Gleeman and the Geek fame and ongoing Minnesota Twins and Major League Baseball coverage.
I will commit to an equal chance of me attending Vikings training camp and being with you at the State Fair. Equal. Whatever.
Who has more enmity about the State Fair experience, you or Seifert?
Yeah, we could probably bond over it for sure, because I remember the last time we talked about this, I believe he either DM'd me or emailed me and said stay strong. Don't let him break you. You know what I mean? Like solidarity.
That sounds like Seifert.
And I was like, you know what? I appreciate the support, because sometimes you come in here and it's peer pressure. Should I do it? Maybe it'll be fun. And then to get an email from another curmudgeon maybe on this topic.
You know what you're starting to remind me of? You and Seifert on this?
Okay.
Sort of this built-in, no, I will not pay attention to the Lynx.
Yeah.
You guys both have that sort of juvenile, reflexive, nope, not going to have anything to do with it. And the more you tell me I need to, then bleep you, I'm not going to. I'm going to double down on not doing it.
Yeah, well, this one, mine, I won't speak for him, but mine with the fair is just based on laziness and
that's more honest
the hassle of it.
Okay.
If I could just snap my fingers and be dropped into the KFAN
now you
booth,
sound like Glenn Mason.
Yeah, if you could figure that out technologically, I would maybe do it.
Yeah.
But, it's a pain in the butt.
Well, to be honest, I don't think there's room for you this year. We're overbooked. Isn't this the first fair ever where we have some days we're going to be overbooked?
There's a couple days right now that are very, very...
I'm overselling this.
See, now this sounds like when I was a kid, there was this whole phenomenon of negging, which is a guy would say negative things to a girl.
I love that term.
And it would have the opposite effect. So I think you were like, we don't even need you there. We don't,
maybe that's it.
Even if you want to come to the fair,
we don't want you. Don't even think about it.
But guess what?
No room for you.
That sounds great.
It's not going to work on you, is it?
No.
Yeah, I tried that on girls then, too. It didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work then.
Didn't work for me then. It's not working on you now.
Yeah. I wish you luck, though, at the fair.
This is from 701 guy. Jurassic Park 2 with the Compsognathus, you clown. The Polad should leave town. The Gophers need a judge to turn things around. Wolves in 5. Long way to go.
That was pretty solid.
But he got there, and he did include the clown emoji, which is what we were discussing yesterday. Is the thing that is that people think is creative is they want to get you going or mock you.
Yeah.
It's not enough to call you a clown. They have to make sure they include. This happens on Twitter. This happens via the text line. They have to make sure, hey, where's that clown emoji? Oh, here it is. Perfect. I'll double down on making fun of the guy or gal.
Do you have a most used emoji, would you say? Like, in terms of...
I don't think I've ever used the clown. No, I'm not. I don't even know how to... I don't understand how you find emojis. Can you do a search for an emoji?
Oh, Grandpa, we're going to have to. By the way, you're asking this of a guy who has been described as grandfather-like in his lack of technological advancement.
You use the thumbs up a lot, Dan. I'll answer for you. Thumbs up would be the one that you use more.
Yeah.
I do not.
You've thumbs upped a lot of things.
No, I haven't. You have never seen me thumbs up on Twitter, ever.
Oh, not on Twitter. I'm talking about just on like text. Things like that.
Regular, text.
Yeah,
I don't even think I say thumbs up. I think I just say perfect or that'll work. Because I don't even know how to do the thumbs up. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but I don't think I thumbs up as much
as
you
think. There are people listening to that, and that's coming across to them as if you said, I don't really know how to breathe. Like, could I need to learn how to breathe.
Yeah. Well, actually, though, I'm better off not in that area. I'm better off breathing less.
Emoji-less.
Yeah, I mean, Well, some people are really clever with them, and I go, where'd you find that?
Yeah.
And they say, that's secret. Not going to tell you. And it turns out all they did was they searched. Yeah. They picked an adjective or a word, and then or a noun, and then there's the emoji for it.
This is how, I've gone my entire life without having any coffee. And I feel like if I started at this age, there's no upside to it. And I feel like that's where you're at with emoji.
I'm doing the coffee more right now because I'm getting hit all of a sudden with migraines. And so I don't know if that makes it worse or better, but it helps me because it takes me out of the fog a little bit.
Okay.
What about, have you ever used the face palm emoji?
Sure. Yeah,
I
wouldn't say I'm a high usage emoji user, but I do a lot of prayer hands, a lot of thumbs up, a lot of poop emoji. That's a good one to send back.
See that? I don't like that one. You're
just
better
trying to be honest.
You're better than that.
Just trying to reveal things on the show. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. If you say so. If you have questions or poop emojis for Gleeman,
now we're going to get those to the Bradshaw.
That's true. 646-86. That's the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Let's get it out of the way early. Where are you? Have you weighed in as, I would call you kind of a new ball guy. Okay? You're kind of a new age ball guy in some ways.
Sure.
So that's where this gets fascinating because the old school ball guy would have no patience with any interest in the Savannah Bananas phenomenon. It would be automatically, this is stupid. I'm not going to the circus. It's moronic. I don't want to waste my time with it. But you're a new age ball guy. So I'm wondering if you're afraid to be that condescending because you go, well, if I am, then I will not separate myself from the older age prehistoric ball guy. Where are you on all this?
Only in baseball could a 43-year-old be new school, new age, but I'll take it.
That's true.
I didn't go to the 3 games at Target Field, which they sold out. I talked to people it was crazy, the amount of people there, revenue there, all sorts of stuff. I know a bunch of people who took their kids and stuff and had a good time. When I was a teenager, I went to see the Harlem Globetrotters at Target Center, I remember. And that, I'm assuming, would sort of be the same vibe. It's obviously a souped-up version of that.
Yes.
But my feeling on it is, it's not, a lot of the people who seem vehemently opposed to it, it's not for them. And one of the things being in my 40s that I've learned about movies and music and television shows and the Savannah Bananas is a lot of times when my initial reaction to something is to go, this seems terrible. I hate what the world is coming to with this.
You stop yourself.
I say, is this for me? And it's very clearly not. And there's 98% of stuff is not for 43-year-old curmudgeon baseball
98%?
I would say at this point. I mean, when
that seems a little high to me.
There's always at an all-star game, there's always the celebrity game within an all-star game, NBA, MLB. And I'm at the point now where if I know 2 of the celebrities, I consider that a victory. So I've just chalked it up to this stuff is not for me. And if kids like it, And obviously, if they're selling 40,000 for 3 straight games at Target Field, where 20,000 is decent attendance, there is a huge audience for it. So mine is just sort of like live and let live. And I assume if I was 30 years younger, I'd be there like I was to see the Globetrotters.
Is it possible you're being self-deprecating to a fault, and that your first instinct that this is stupid is the correct one?
Well, I mean, 2 things can be true. It can be stupid and also not be for me. But I mean, it was, talking to some of the Twins folks, like about some of the behind the scenes details, like it's just incredible that they sold out 6 months in advance, 3 games, the amount of concession stuff they did and T-shirts and hats, like it's truly like a phenomenon. And they have like a B level that is selling out like AAA and AA ballparks too, which is like affiliated with the Savannah Bananas, but it's not like the A squad. It's really, it wouldn't surprise me if they're making in a few years maybe comparable revenue to some of the lower end MLB teams, just in terms of like attendance, not TV, obviously. Although I'm waiting for that to happen too. One of these networks that's desperate for content and wants a young demo has to be putting these games on TV, right? Like,
no question.
Why would you not?
Yeah. No, business is business.
Yeah.
Do you regret? It's clear you've already said you don't regret not going Savannah Bananas, but you're not ripping it. It's not for everybody.
Sure.
Do you regret not attending the Field of Dreams?
No, because, I thought about it, and my podcast co-host, John Bonus, went, paid what he described as near Super Bowl level prices for 2 tickets, which is funny because he could have gotten a press pass, but his wife wanted to go, so then it was like, well, now we need 2 tickets.
Okay,
So they went broke going. Everybody that went seemed to have a good time. The game itself was pretty terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game.
And I would have had to write about it and then try to make it into something more than just one random game. I did watch it on Netflix, and I felt like the pregame and visual presentation was excellent.
I agree.
But I really was frustrated by the announcing, because it really it tapped into every stereotypical Minnesotan where it's like, nobody cares about us, nobody knows about us. They just were talking endlessly about stuff that I'm like, no, that's not true. Well,
and wasn't that the broadcast where the Pohlads are described as the beloved owners?
That was the icing on the whatever.
Was that just trolling, or did he mean it?
No, I thought in the moment, I'm like, that's a hilarious, sarcastic thing to say. But nothing else about the 3-hour broadcast was indicated in any way that vibe. And so I think he just said that.
Do you buy the theory? It's interesting because we had a couple people who went, said that they loved the scene, but they were a bit taken aback by how quiet it was. Almost like, well, this is such a reverential thing that even during the action, you're not allowed to cheer with drunken intensity the way you would if this game, for example, was at Target Field.
That's interesting because I think they play up the sort of, reverential aspect of it, of like, oh, this is a 40-year-old movie and it's about fathers and it's about all this stuff. So I wonder if that kind of can't help but bleed into how people treat the game itself, where it's like, we're here because we've decided this is a really big, important, like, emotional thing. And then when it's just the Phillies blowing out the Twins, it's like, normally I'd be heckling. Normally I'd be 8 beers deep.
This isn't
like,
the place.
Well, we can't do this because this is something really special. Could be something like that.
Do you think it's because afterwards fathers and sons were having a catch or playing catch?
I've never heard anybody naturally say having a catch.
It's because it's unnatural.
But is it an East Coast thing, maybe?
That's the theory. That's what we've been told.
Costner said the director was obsessed with have a catch.
Yeah.
Because, like...
But I don't even buy it as an Eastern thing. Because I've heard other Eastern people say, we didn't say it. We didn't say having a catch. We said play catch.
Yeah, because there's certain stuff like... I know New Yorkers say they're standing on line instead of in line.
Oh, okay.
And when I used to listen to Howard Stern as a kid, and he would always say that, and it would drive me nuts.
Online.
Yeah, and I never heard anybody naturally say that. So maybe it's just like a little pocket of, although you would think if you're making a movie, you would at least check with a few people in the writer's room and be like, is this a thing any human has ever said outside of like New York and New Jersey? And the answer would be.
It is fingers on a chalkboard for me. Yeah. And even though I understand that there was a reason for it. It just
line of like,
God,
it's weird.
You're getting ripped, by the way. Bananas are on a tiny little network called ESPN. Gleeman with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clown emojis.
Okay.
Just people wanting to let you know.
Any poop emojis?
There's others have offered plenty of poop emojis.
I choose having no knowledge of that, but having suggested a thing that has already happened with ESPN, I choose to take that as a compliment because it says I'm great at programming a network.
Yes.
That ESPN has followed what I already suggested. They just happened to do it before I suggested.
Here's my introduction to the Twins question as we make an abrupt departure there, because I don't want to keep this going too long without getting there. Do we already have suitable evidence to suggest that the current manager is better at his job than the guy we love to defend on this show and kind of enjoyed, Rocco Baldelli?
Well, it's tricky because I think Shelton was handed a roster that was much lower upside than a lot of the rosters Baldelli was handed. I do think Baldelli, I'm not going to be his PR and claim he was a great manager or anything. I think he was an okay manager. You know, he's done things that Shelton is now aspiring to do, which is make the playoffs. He's won a playoff series, which even Gardenhire didn't do for 15 years or whatever.
Got myself on.
Why do you got to rip Gardy out of nowhere? Yeah, he gets a string.
I know,
what did he do?
And I
live in his RV.
I got to see Toby every day too, so I shouldn't have said
exactly.
But I also think people don't realize with Baldelli how far up the win percentage list he is among Twins managers, and that only means so much. Tom Kelly has a losing regular season record. Nobody cares about that, obviously, but I think it ended very poorly for Baldelli and also for Falvey, who they were attached at the hip to some extent, front office and manager. But also, realistically, Shelton has a losing record right now. It's part of the fact that they're in the playoff race is due a little to them maybe exceeding expectations, which were remarkably low. I'll give them credit for that. But also, this is the weakest sort of middle class of the American League that you can be 2 games below 500. 80% of the way through the season and actually be leading a wild card spot. And it's not to take away from anything, but I would say for him to be on that level, I need to see them play winning baseball. There's, I think, 34 games left, and actually not just be the little engine that could, but actually now see it in your sights and grab hold of a very winnable wild card spot.
All right, so we got 34 games left?
Yes.
If the Twins over those 34 games go 20-14,
they will definitely make the playoffs.
And is that enough for Gleeman?
Sure.
The tough guy, high standard ball guy to say that's successful.
I'm agile. I'm tough. Yeah. I'm new age. None of these things have ever been. I like coming in here. You can say handsome, good hair, a lot of other things.
Truth cannot be controversial.
Yeah, right. As long as we're not on video today.
No,
so
I don't think we are.
I can lie.
Rarely. It's only the power trip that's on video.
I can lie as much as I want. It's tricky because I think a lot of Twins fans expected this to be a really, truly awful team. However, the preseason projections, Fangraphs, Baseball Prospectus, the newer school numbers-based that are sort of eliminating narrative-driven stuff, they both projected them at 78 wins. I think at the moment they're on pace for 78 or 79 wins. Now that 78 or 79 wins is more valuable because the American League standard is so low. So I think he's done a solid job.
And was our best starting pitcher already eliminated?
Yeah.
Okay, was that?
Those were updated post Pablo injury.
Right.
I know the over/under Vegas wise was only 72.5. So they're certainly well above those expectations. And if you're a Twins fan who expected them to lose 100 games, well, they've been miles better than that. I think he's done a solid job. I want to see how you finish the season because I will also say, in 2024, at this point in the season, the Twins under Baldelli had 80% playoff odds. They were on pace for 90-something wins, and then they just completely collapsed. It's the end of the season that can sort of make or break manager reputations. If you pause it in mid-August, a lot of guys looked good who then didn't look good at the end of the season and vice versa. So they've been very resilient under Shelton, which I think is to his credit. But also at some point, you got to stop getting knocked down so that it's nice that you get back up every time, which we just saw them sweep Atlanta after being swept by the Phillies. But at some point, you got to stop being knocked down. And at some point, they got to climb above 500 and not immediately fall back below. And if they can do that, I think it's a credit to him, but I also think that's the bar is that low to make the playoffs in this American League field this year.
We have been decidedly streaky, right?
Yes.
This whole season. What prevents us from going into another bad streak? Because the impression I had from afar was, the offense wasn't as good as its production, and it's coming back to the pack. And unfortunately, the starting pitching is vulnerable because you don't really have the starting rotation that you expected, and that's where I thought we maybe were on the verge. And when they had lost, 10 out of 14, that this may be about to unravel. before they had their nice, sweep of Atlanta. So what's the best chance they have to not go back in a bad streak direction in the other direction? What's the key to that? Offense, defense, special teams, what?
I think, one, they're just finishing up a pretty difficult stretch of the schedule. The games we just talked about, now they're in San Diego against a pretty decent Padres team. And then it becomes a lot easier. Their final 34 games, I think they have the third easiest schedule, something like that. They finish with a very easy, final week and a half. So if you can even tread water to that point, I think you can potentially kind of run across the finish line there. The tricky part, though, and you mentioned it, is, typically if a team is going to be a sustained, consistent winner, and even within that, avoid these setbacks like you're talking about, starting pitching is going to be at the forefront of that. And their starting pitching, because of injuries, is a mess. I mean, they have the worst ERA in the American League starters since the All-Star break. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the season, the bullpen was in a similar spot. The bullpen,
now we're dominating.
They've changed over almost the entire bullpen, and now the bullpen, I would probably say, is the strength of the team and probably above average relative to the league. But the problem with the bullpen being a strength of an otherwise not amazing team is it doesn't matter. There's no impact to be made if you can't hand them a lead or at least hand them a close game. And unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, the starting pitchers have allowed so many multiple run first innings that by the time the bullpen can get involved, it's kind of a lost cause. So if they can get slightly better, more consistent starting pitching, and a big part of that is they need Joe Ryan back, which is still an uncertain timeline for his return. I wouldn't expect it before September. But if they can get slightly more consistent or less blow-up prone starting pitching, I do think the bullpen is miles better. And if people have checked out for a couple months, check back in. The bullpen is a 180-degree switch from what you saw early in the season, but they got to do enough from a starting pitching standpoint and an offensive standpoint to at least get the bullpen involved in games that are still in doubt.
All right, we're going to get to some more bullpen questions I have for you in just a minute. Let me get to a couple of texts. This is from Willow, Mark Rosen's cat guy. Gleeman's a clown. Mm-hmm. Most poop is brown. Wolves in 5.
I like that.
Gleeman and the Geek. Kessler and McFreak. Minnesota Twins big week. Wolves in 5. They're having some fun with some of those, too. Sorry, not interested in lame circus ball.
Yeah.
You think that person's automatically too old?
I mean, what I would say is...
Are they talking about the Twins or the Bananas?
Yeah, right. That's a follow-up. That's a decent follow-up.
LaMelo.
Yeah.
It could be a twofer or a threefer.
I guess what I would say is, and it took me, like I said, until my 40s to really realize this,
the world doesn't revolve around you?
Right.
You got to get over that.
Why does it?
It does.
Okay.
You have to get back to that.
My girlfriend might say I still take that approach. But I guess what I'm saying is if someone goes, clown ball, it's like, it's not like they're knocking on your door in the middle of the night to play in front of you.
Close.
Who cares? But yeah, I get it. I mean, I would love to hear the demo information on that person if they're 25, 85, somewhere in between. But
Aaron Gleeman is our in-studio guest. Lots of baseball/Twins conversation to continue. Perhaps some Wolves stuff to get to. Perhaps some Lynx stuff to discuss as well. 64686, that's the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN Toxic text line as we've now updated it. Back with more Gleeman when we return.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-8...
And Chaska catches up or checks in with this. This is from Waconia Walt. I guess that's another one of his names. What would Gleeman's emoji for each part of the Twins, starting pitching, bullpen, hitting, and ownership be?
I like this.
That's a good question right there. So that covers a lot of ground.
That's a
lot of possibilities, and it puts you on the spot.
Boy, I would say... Well, I'm not going to say any poop emoji jokes on this, but that would be easy. I mean, you do some sort of money sign for the poll ads, maybe. I would say prayer hands for the rotation, like we just talked about, because they do need the help. Boy, that's interesting. Yeah, that would be... I need an improvement emoji.
How about hitting?
Hitting is... I don't know. What's a good emoji for
Well, I don't understand. Explain their hitting to me, because by every, I think, analytic, they've been really good.
They scored
even
a lot
though
of
it doesn't
runs.
make a lot of sense.
I think what we saw for most of the first half was that they had the highest batting average and OPS in all of baseball with the runners in scoring position. And so that will make an average-ish offense look amazing, because you're essentially cashing in every opportunity. Every time there's a guy in second, you're cashing him in. Realistically, though, over like a full season,
that's going to come back to you. You're saying
teams tend to hit a little better with runners in scoring position because there's more pressure on the pitcher and stuff. But if you're a 250 hitting team regular, over the course of a full season, you would expect to hit somewhere around 250 with the runners in scoring position. So they kind of were above their skis a little bit on that. We've seen some expected regression in that regard, where they've gone from the best in all of baseball to like average or below average. So I think that explains a little bit of why the runs have dried up, or it's been more boom or bust with some 1 or 2 run games and then some 8 or 10 run games. I think overall it's a decent offense that is capable of exploding, especially against right-handed pitching, but they've really struggled against lefties. And they didn't really address that in the offseason or the trade deadline to bring in right-handed bats. But I'm not worried about the lineup. I just don't know that it can really carry them.
Could it be a fingers crossed emoji?
Yeah, that's a good one. Fingers crossed emoji, that works.
Like, let's hope it works out.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, I'm just going through all the emojis, and that one jumped out at me.
And maybe I use the angel emoji for the bullpen now, because they've turned things around and they are the strength of the entire team. Although that is surely jinxing them if I were to say that. But yeah, it's a weird season where you see like a transformation of an entire section of the team, like the bullpen. And then it's also weird because you've seen the deterioration from an injury standpoint of the rotation. You lose Lopez right away. You lose Mick Abel. Now they're wondering when Joe Ryan's going to come back. And that was supposed to be the strength. And now they've pieced together a rotation, but they don't really have any more depth. So they can't afford to lose anyone else. And so that might be the biggest weakness in the team. The lineup, I think, is a little more stable. And then, like I said, the bullpen is the strength, but how many leads can you get to the bullpen that they can slam the door on?
Are we worried about Joe Ryan?
Yeah, I'm not worried in the sense that it's like some long-term injury, but I'm worried in the sense that it's just also cryptic. Like every time we've talked to him, he seems like a guy who's just searching for answers to a question that doesn't seem that complicated. And of course, going back a few weeks, initially they were like he has arm fatigue. And then the actual injury was a glute/back strain, which Dr. Gleeman can tell you that's not related to the arm, at least as far as I know.
Well, it can be.
Sure, I guess. Yeah,
you can go overcompensate.
That's a whole different emoji. But so that worries me in the sense that it's like, is he just having a slight mechanical problem stemming from back problems, which I can sympathize with?
Yeah.
Or is something more being hidden? Or is this a case where a pitcher was struggling and it's like he's just trying to figure out what happened? I went from being an all-star to giving up 6 home runs in my first start after the break. I will also say, though, that even setting aside the injury component, Joe Ryan, I wrote about this a couple weeks ago and looked it up, has the largest split between his first half ERA career in Twins history. First half ERA is like 3.17, second half ERA is like 5. Nobody has ever had a split anywhere near that. And so until proven otherwise, you have to question his durability and ability to put together a full season. So then the fact that he's a little banged up or he's got some mechanical issues, I think kind of folds into that. It's definitely a concern because if they don't get first half Joe Ryan for at least part of September, I just don't know that they have the horses in the rotation to get in there.
Have we found, is Gomez a legitimate long-term closer?
Well, it depends because this will be my new age spiel here. I'll give you. 20 years ago, there was like a little more mystique around the closer role, proven closers. I'm now of the opinion that I would rather have assuming you have multiple good relievers, I would rather have like my second or maybe even third best reliever be the closer because it's such a rigid usage. You're up 1, 2, or 3, you pitch the 9th inning. If that's like your third best guy, and they still need to be good, it frees up your best and second best guy to put out fires in the 6th inning, the 7th inning, pitch multiple innings. And also now we've seen
that's not the Jeff Reardon way. It's not the TK way.
No, I mean, it's really only the last 10 years or so, I would say. And the other key thing is because closer usage is based on the score in the inning, not the matchups, a closer will often not only have a multi-run lead that they just need to protect with 3 outs to get, they might be facing 7, 8, 9 in the lineup. Whereas 2 innings earlier, the setup man might have protected a 1-run lead against the 3-4-5 of the lineup, which is the really more difficult spot there. So what I would say about Gomez is he's a solid major league reliever. I think in a good bullpen, he's probably your 3rd or 4th best guy. But also, I don't mind slotting him into the closer role because it frees up Andrew Morris and Hoffman and Minter to be more mix and matched in higher leverage spots that aren't necessarily save situations. Because I'm not that reliant on a save situation itself. I'm more of the opinion that you can win or lose games, tie games, 1-run games before you ever get to a save situation. And so holding back your 3rd best reliever to fill that spot, I think is a decent idea because it frees up the other guys to pitch whenever and wherever.
Who is Cody Clemens?
Who is he like as a player?
Yeah, how do we?
What to make of him, you mean?
Well, exactly.
Okay. Well, he's a guy who's been overshadowed by his father his whole career. He's a guy who got very little opportunity in the majors and bounced around a lot through his age 30, I think, when the Twins got him. They got him last year in like late April, early May, entirely because they lost 3 infielders to injury in like 48 hours. And he had been DFA'd by the Phillies, and they sent, cash considerations, which might have been $1 for all we know. And the plan was, we just need emergency depth. And then he just sort of hit his way into the plans, and now he's been pretty much an everyday regular player for them. He's played all over defensively. He's been a lot, not only versatile, but a lot better defensively. He's played some center field, played second base. And he's a low batting average, high strikeout sort of swing and miss guy, but it's legit, left-handed 25 homer power. And if he were kind of a plodding first baseman, that wouldn't be that unique. But the fact that he can play up the middle positions and can bounce around, I'm not going to say he's the team MVP, but he's really turned himself into a good, solid, regular sort of secondary role player, I would say, for a decent lineup.
Who is the team MVP?
Well, I would have said Buxton, but now he's missed time. Yeah. I might have said Joe Ryan in the first half, but now he's missed time. Honestly, Jeffers on a game-by-game basis has been the best, but he missed a couple months with an injury too. I don't know. Taj Bradley's been the most consistent, like from start to finish, but he's having a good, not great season. I don't know. I would say if Buxton and or Ryan come back, it's still there for the taking. I don't think there's an obvious one. Like, I would be surprised if they get anybody who will even be down ballot votes for league MVP or for Cy Young or for Rookie of the Year or anything like that.
Get Gleeman off by 5. Baldelli never lets starters past 5. I'm driving on 55. Wolves.
That, by the way, is an example of what we were talking about with Shelton versus Baldelli, where Baldelli got that quick hook reputation because for a couple years they were trying to squeeze something out of Dylan Bundy and Matt Shoemaker and Jay Happ, and they had a good bullpen. So if you have a horrible rotation and a good bullpen, you want to have a quick hook.
Correct.
But then we saw in 2023 when he had Pablo and Sonny Gray, they had the 3rd most innings among starters in the league, but by that point he had gotten the quick reputation.
But why did Sonny Gray hate him then?
I don't think Sonny Gray hated him. I think Sonny Gray hates everyone in that context. I think Sonny Gray's a really good pitcher and a nice guy.
A curmudgeon.
But he's incredibly intense.
Yeah.
And he just thinks he should be able to throw a complete game shutout every game. And so I saw this even when he was with St. Louis. I was watching a game. They came to take him out and he freaked out. But the funny thing about Sonny Gray is he's not really the most durable pitcher ever. He's a really good pitcher. But now early in the season when Shelton was letting like Bradley and Joe Ryan go into the 7th or the 8th, people were pointing to that as like, oh, this is a big change. He's so different than Baldelli. Now we've seen injuries wreck the rotation. And guess who has a quick hook now? Derek Shelton, because he's got a better bullpen than a rotation, and all of a sudden he's doing the Baldelli plan. So they are different, but I think there's a lot more similarities than people would like to recognize because it does feel rewarding and good to be like, the new guy's way different than the old guy I didn't like.
The notes that we see Shelty take after a walk or a given play, whatever, he's constantly taking notes. Is he actually just putting down like the laundry list and he's trying to look smart?
He's writing emojis that fit.
That's what I'm wondering. Is that because it looks really smart and like he's attentive, but I'm wondering if he's actually writing anything down that's interesting. Have you guys ever asked him?
No, I've seen a couple of them though, like on his desk. I think what he's doing is he's tracking pitch counts.
Okay.
He's any sort of just thing that he notices, like, oh, this guy swung at a slider. I think it's just more kind of Cliff Notes check back with. I don't think he's really writing much that he's going to like turn into a great book or something someday. Right. It's similar, I would say, to, I'm sure people have seen like an outfielder take the card out of their back pocket and look at it. That's just like for positioning in the outfield. You sometimes see an infielder do that. There's these like, and also he's writing stuff down, but what he's writing it on has a lot of data and scouting reports and stuff too. So I think it's more just kind of keeping that in front of you, keeping actively involved in all that stuff, more so than like actionable things that he's writing down.
Aaron Gleeman is our in-studio guest. We got one more solid segment with him. Top 5 at 5 yet to come, and Dr. Dan's inbox as well. Stay tuned.
This is Bumper to Bumper with
Jacob in Maple Grove for Gleeman. What emoji are we using for the Joe Ryan and Minnesota Twins relationship? Is that still iffy, tense? Does he have a leg to stand on right now based on the differences between, as you say, his first half and second half performances?
I mean, I don't know. It's a little tricky. I think it stems, any sort of sense that they don't have a good relationship, which I don't know that that's accurate, I think stems from he thought he had been traded last year to the Red Sox. There was like a false report. And then I think once you get that in your mind, and then you don't get traded from a team that was sort of tanking down the stretch and all that, I don't really get any sense he has a bad relationship with anybody. I think he's probably realistic that next year is his last year with the Twins at most, because he's going to be a free agent after that and could potentially be traded, prior to that. But I don't think he has a bad relationship. I don't think this injury thing is about that. I think this injury thing with Joe Ryan, when Joe Ryan is 100% and feels good mechanically, there are few starting pitchers in the American League who are better. But if he's off at all, and you see this sometimes even in games where, like, if he has 2 bad calls against him by an umpire or a defensive play behind him is not made, he's very capable of sort of spiraling from that. And if it's not perfect conditions physically, I think he suffers more than the average pitcher in that. So if he really is feeling glute and back problems and just doesn't feel like he can be right mechanically, I think he's correct to not keep pitching with it, because we've seen him struggle while trying to do that in years past. But then the question becomes, how quick can you get to 100%, and do you even know what 100% feels like? Because it's not like he's got a broken finger where you can just put a 6 to 8 week timeline on it. I get the sense that they're very reliant on him at this point to tell them he's ready to go, because it's just not a straightforward injury situation. But yeah, I don't think he has a bad relationship with them. But I think he's, probably frustrated by every year he has a great first half, including back-to-back All-Star appearances the past 2 years. And then pretty much every year he's injured or ineffective or both in the second half. And I think he's a guy who tries to figure that stuff out from a mechanical standpoint, and I think he's struggling to do that.
Mark wants to know what Aaron Gleeman thinks of Culpepper defensively.
I think if you watched his first game in the majors in Milwaukee, you will forever doubt him defensively, because he made 2 bad plays, including one that was just like, that's just not a major league play. I think if you didn't catch that first game and you've watched his 9 games since then, you probably have rarely thought about him defensively, which is in a way, a compliment, like a ref or a third base coach or an umpire. If you don't think about it, they must be doing a pretty decent job. So I think the first game was ugly. I think the following 9 games have been just fine, solid. I think long-term, he's probably not going to be their long-term shortstop, because they have a better fielding shortstop named Merrick Houston, who was their first-round pick last year, and he's at Double-A. I think Culpepper will likely end up at third base or second base, assuming he's a good hitter. But I think for the rest of this year and part of next year, I think he will be a competent and possibly average to above average shortstop. Great arm, a lot of athleticism and range. Sure-handedness and just sort of smoothness might be in a little bit of question, but that could improve with reps too.
6'5" guy is going after you a little bit.
Okay.
Here's what he writes.
Let's hear it.
Or she. Why doesn't Gleeman mention how bad Buxton has been with runners in scoring position? Nobody wants to talk about that. They lead the league with Buxton hitting about 170 with RISP.
Yeah.
Fair?
So when we were talking about team-wide runners in scoring position last segment, the thing I said was that it fluctuates so wildly in small samples, and over large samples, you can expect the runners in scoring position numbers to roughly be similar to the overall numbers. And you can certainly apply that to a player, which is an even smaller sample. And so Byron Buxton was phenomenal with runners in scoring position last year. I believe he hit 320 with like a 1,000 OPS. Has he forgotten to hit with runners in scoring position this year, where, like they point out, he's been terrible with runners in scoring? Or are we just thinly slicing 300 at-bats in certain situations? I would not deny that it's hurt them, and it's cost them runs, and it's led to him not being as valuable maybe as his overall numbers look this year. However, the flip side was true last year. He was great with runners in scoring position. And so I'm not that concerned about trying to analyze runners in scoring position or small sample stuff like that, because once you get a 10-year track record with a guy, we know Byron Buxton can hit. Mm-hmm. We know most years he's going to be good or great with runners in scoring position. We also have seen some years like this one, and there's been some other years where what's going on? He's hitting 175 with runners in scoring position. It's not that it doesn't hurt, and it's not that it isn't taking away from his value. It's just that any sort of kind of rational data-based look at it will show that it's not like predictive. And so if something's not predictive, in other words, his overall numbers are more predictive than his runners in scoring position numbers, I tend to just chalk that up to just fluctuation, sample size, randomness. That's not to take away from that it's hurt them. It's just that I would expect his next 100 at-bats to be more reflective of his overall numbers than the struggles he's had with runners in scoring position.
Core competency guy has a question. What is with the 3 catchers on the roster?
This I don't have a great answer for. I wrote about this that some people described as a rant. I did a podcast where I definitely went on a rant about it. So what happened was when Jeffers went down with a hamate injury for like 6 or 8 weeks, they called up Alex Jackson to be the number 2 catcher, and Victor Caratini was the number 1 catcher. Then Jeffers came back, but they kept all 3 catchers because it was a few weeks before the trade deadline. And I think their thinking was, hey, if we end up trading Jeffers, which was a possibility at that point, we're not going to want to have lost Alex Jackson to the waiver wire because he might be our backup. But then they didn't trade Jeffers. And then for several weeks, they kept all 3, and Alex Jackson just got mothballed. He just didn't play. And then they finally parted ways with him and DFA'd him, and he passed through waivers unclaimed, which means none of the other 29 teams wanted him. And they sent him to AAA for about 10 minutes, and then they called him right back up because Austin Martin got injured. And now he's, again, a 3rd catcher who I would expect to barely play. And I think what makes it strange this time around is there's no trade deadline component. There's also, it's not easy to just say, well, it's the last spot on the bench. They don't really need it, because the truth is, as we talked about with the lineup earlier, they can use whatever help they can get. They could use any sort of functional right-handed hitter to pair with all these left-handed hitters in the corner outfield. I think they could potentially just call up Walker Jenkins, who's a left-handed hitter. So
a couple people have asked about that.
Fit, but Walker Jenkins is a consensus league-wide top 20 or maybe even top 10 prospect who over the last month is hitting like 320 with power at AAA, hit another homer this afternoon I just saw. Is he a seamless fit on a team that has a bunch of left-handed hitters already? No. But I would be of the opinion that he's a good enough prospect thriving at AAA that it would be, the default should be that he would join a playoff push, I think more often than not. And then the other thing is, well, where can you find him playing time? My stance on that would be, I will find Walker Jenkins playing time by writing his name in the lineup every day and then figuring out everything around that. If it means giving Josh Bell a day off per week, Royce Lewis a day off per week, Trevor Larnach a day off per week, Cody Clemens, who we talked about. These guys have been productive, but they don't play 7 days a week. So I think there is more room for Walker Jenkins than they are letting on, and I think it should be viewed as frustrating that they're just sort of continuing to punt a roster spot on a guy they know they're not going to play when they could use any sort of functional right-handed hitter, or they have this trump card to play in Walker Jenkins to provide a bigger boost to the lineup.
Another text. MVP do tell Ryan, what the hell? Clear winner is Bell, Wolves in 5. This is from old Central coach and friend of the late, great Ron Rosenbaum.
Well, if this was 30 years ago when people were obsessed with RBI still, Josh Bell probably would be your team MVP because he's on pace for like 100 RBI. He's been good. He was very bad for the first 6 weeks or so, and he's been very good since then. I think, he is a DH, doesn't offer much defensively, base running, but he he's been one of those guys when they were going well with runners in scoring position. He has cashed in a lot of runners in scoring position spots.
Who are you more bullish on right now as a basketball aficionado?
Okay.
Olivia Miles or LaMelo Ball?
I think Olivia Miles is better now than LaMelo Ball will ever be. And I'm relatively high on LaMelo Ball. I would make an argument here. People are going to start emailing. I think Olivia Miles is better now already than Anthony Edwards. And I am a huge Anthony Edwards fan. But I view Edwards as a top 10 player, let's say, in the league. And I think she's definitely a top 5 player.
There's no question.
She might be like top 3 or top 2, other than Asia Wilson, I would say. And
not a great individual defender, as George and I talked about. Certainly, Anthony at his best is a better two-way player.
If I knew he was going to lock in.
She's been more influential from day one.
And I also think, this isn't pure defense. I think she plays passing lanes well.
Yeah.
So she gets some sort of pickpocket situations. And I also think it's not purely defense, but rebounding from a point guard can sort of serve as ending possessions for the other team, and it also gets you into transition, which I really like. LaMelo does that too because he's a tall point guard. But I've just been, this is not a hot take, I've been so impressed by her. I had high hopes. I was thrilled that Dallas didn't take her number 1. I never expected. This is, I think.
No, I don't think they projected her this good, this fast either.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And it undersells it to say this is one of the best rookie seasons in WNBA history.
Correct.
This is one of the best rookie seasons in basketball history, I think. And it has been so fun to watch it, and the ability to sort of have her carry things and then add Nafisa Collier back in. If this isn't the year, I don't know that there is going to be a year to win it. We just saw them take care of Golden State pretty easily. They're number 2. I'm locked in. My girlfriend and I just bought courtside seats to a game in a few weeks after the FIBA break, and I'm fully locked in as a Minnesota basketball obsessive. This is such a fun team to watch.
Will you make this pledge on 100,000 watt radio?
Okay.
If you are in attendance, for the championship clinching game, WNBA playoffs for the Minnesota Lynx, you will storm the court.
Yes. So I have to, not streaking, just storm the court.
I'm not going to ask you to go that far. Just that you will find a way to end up on the court, jump up and down like an idiot, and raise your fists and raise your hands. Try to, congratulate players.
Agile Aaron.
Try to mob.
You're going to really
Cheryl Reeve, the whole bit.
I need to do some Googling on what the punishment for that is.
Okay. I'm not asking you to be glue guy.
True.
Do that kind of protest.
What I'm really worried about, I've never sat courtside in a game, and my girlfriend heard that and bought courtside as sort of a present at the end of the season. And what I'm really worried about as a large person, and also having watched a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David famously trips Shaquille O'Neal and injures him while sitting courtside,
yes.
I am genuinely worried about what the sort of fit is. Is this going to be an airline situation where I'm packed in like a sardine? And I really don't want to be the guy who trips, Olivia Miles. Because while it's funny when Larry David does it, it's not so funny when
in real life. Yeah.
Some random schlub does it. So that's what I've been thinking about lately.
I'm going to give you 90 seconds to attempt to field this question and try to save me from having
90 seconds is a long time in radio.
To explain it. Comparing women's basketball with men's is absolutely ridiculous. Now, do you want to give that individual an understanding of that's not what you're doing when you compare impact of 2 players, 1 male, 1 female?
Yeah, to me, you're just comparing basketball players. That's the point that I think we need to reach, or some people have reached, is there's all this stuff about she wouldn't play in the NBA. It's do you go to a college game and go, this guy wouldn't be good in the NBA?
Impact. You're talking about impact. You're not saying she's a better basketball player than Anthony Edwards.
Well, and I guess people are sort of obsessed with that, and I get that there are people who are just never going to fully appreciate the WNBA because they just don't view
just
women's sports the same. I'll say this, you're missing out on it because they're great. It's an incredibly good team. It's the most successful Minnesota sports team of the last, 20 years?
That's correct.
By far. You have 2, I think, Hall of Fame bound players in their primes on the team. And so just the question of why would you compare men's and women's, I'm not. I'm just saying basketball players. I'm just saying Anthony Edwards and Olivia Miles and Nafisa Collier are the 3 best basketball players in Minnesota. 2 of them play on a women's team. 1 of them plays on a men's team. I watch every game for both. I root for both. I find them equally compelling when they're playing well. But it maybe goes back to that Savannah Bananas discussion we had, which is if someone's like, well, why should I care about the WNBA? And I would say, you don't have to. There's plenty of people who do. There's more people than ever that do. And you're free to like miss out on caring about it, but you're missing out on great basketball. And if you're obsessing about like, well, would Olivia Miles be able to play in the NBA? You're missing the entire point of sports, in my mind at least.
All-time winning percentage, regular season. Timberwolves 421.
Yeah.
Lynx 570.
Yeah.
Number 2 on the list of pro sports. We talked about this earlier in the show. Vikings 542. Then it's the Wild at 514. This is all time.
Okay.
Twins 482. You doubted them.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, the Wolves 421. So the Lynx are, I think even I can do the math on this. They're 156 percentage points all time better than what did I say the Wolves were? 421.
Yeah.
I guess that would be 150 percentage points better.
Yeah. And as someone who sat through a lot of those seasons that got that winning percentage for the Wolves down to the 400, I sat through a lot of seasons where 421 would have been a dream come true. Some of these Kurt Rambis, Rogers, Sidney Lowe years, I would have killed for a 420 winning percentage. My thing is
I watched too many of those games.
Appreciate great teams, which Minnesota sports fans are constantly complaining that these teams are not good and they're not championship contenders. You have one that has consistently been a championship contender in like 3 different versions under Cheryl Reeve. And it's weird to me that people would be like,
they're going for there's one for the thumb right now. They got 4 rings. They're going for 5.
I mean,
championship.
It's incredibly rare. I just was watching Hard Knocks, which the Seahawks are this year.
You did?
Yeah, I watch everything.
What's happened to you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That doesn't sound like Gleeman in his prime.
There was no prime, really. You were looking at it.
That's it.
But they said that Schneider, their GM, is the first GM of like the modern era to win 2 different Super Bowls with no coaches and no players, holdovers.
Right.
And I don't know that Reeve has done that technically, but she's basically had 3 iterations of this team.
True.
And so not only are you watching Collier and Miles, who I think are going to be Hall of Fame players, you're watching like maybe the greatest coach in the history of the WNBA. And I would think, from an Olympic level, international level, all that, like if you can't watch that, if you claim to be a basketball fan, you can't get into that. There's something going on there beyond just your basketball fan.
Well, send the text to Gleeman, not me. I don't want to hear this.
AaronGleeman.com.
It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Feedback.
One last item. We're very late. Somebody had asked much earlier in the show how many subscribers you had. I'm going to predict that you have 350,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's roughly. Yeah,
okay. Because that means you're doing okay.
If I had 350 subscribers, I wouldn't be here.
350,000.
Yeah, no offense to you. I wouldn't go anywhere.
What is that supposed to mean?
I would have a private chef and a private everything.
That's false.
Yeah.
You'd get tired of yourself. You would not. You would still
you don't know
need
me
it.
well.
No.
No.
Okay.
I believe him.
My dream is to have nothing on the calendar, to have no aspirations, to just have to kill time as an only child. When people say they get bored, I think, how can you do that when there's Hard Knocks to watch? There's old clips of Olivia Miles in college to watch. Like, boredom to me is what I aspire to, because I think I can defeat boredom at any
I will say of all the guests,
but at least you're honest.
I will say of all the guests that I text to book, the one that I kind of feel bad about asking is Gleeman, because I do believe that you would much rather, you don't mind it, you like coming in here, I think you enjoy it.
Yes.
But you would much rather not do it than do it.
Correct.
So I do always feel a little bad. Like he's not going to want to do it, but he's going to feel like he has to do it.
It is at the top of my list of things to do is to come talk to you guys, but it is nowhere near.
So it's still at the bottom of the list in general.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I have friends.
That's honest. That's fine. That's
I love for years.
Yeah.
Who will be like JG just said, they'll text me and they'll go, you want to like do a happy hour? I know you don't want to, but would you do a happy hour? And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And I have fun. And then I get home and I think, boy, it's better to just do nothing.
Yeah, no, we're not that different in that regard.
Yeah.
I can sort of understand. I can rip that,
which
but I
I'm
can
sure
actually
is
kind of
a
understand
super healthy way to be and to talk about life. I'm sure of that.
Very, very true.
We'll go back to Hard Knocks.
There's some good texts that have come in, but we'll save them. Aaron Gleeman. So, any specials on the subscription right now? Anything going on that you want to
hawk? Let's see. 20. You get, if you do a year instead of a month, you can get 22% off.
That's a good
And then
gig.
it ends up being like $6 a month or something like that.
Now, if we're in the postseason, you're promising extra coverage, extra submissions. Is that correct?
Sure. I mean, if we're in the postseason and they make a playoff run, I could maybe get to 350,000 and then live my lifelong dream of just velcroing myself to a couch and never leaving.
Would you stay here, St. Louis Park, or would you go someplace else?
I mean, if they make I'm trying to think. Maybe I would like them to end the World Series parade at Yangtze. I feel that would be a fitting way for me to end my baseball writing career. A perfect sign-off with a little Mandarin chicken and fried rice. Cash all those checks from the subscribers. Do one last interview on KFAN, and then nobody will ever see me again at any point in life.
That's something to aspire to.
Dream.
No question
Healthy,
about that.
like I said, yeah.
How do we get subscriptions?
AaronGleeman.com.
Very simple.
If you would prefer to just listen to me babble about the Twins, Gleeman and the Geek, which I've hosted. Last week was our 15-year anniversar of starting the show.
15 years, wow.
Which I realize, how many years have been on the radio here?
Yeah, no, it's still, but how old is the oldest podcast that exists?
I mean, it couldn't be more than 20 years, I'd say. I mean, we're up there. When we started, we would record in bars, and we would have just handheld microphones.
Yes.
And people would say, what the hell are you guys doing? And we would say, we're recording a podcast. And it took like a year before someone knew what a podcast was at that point, in 2011, I guess it was.
Good to have you. Appreciate the time, and then we'll see you at the fair. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Don't wait up, but yeah.
If Jimmy Jam can make the effort to come see us at the Great Minnesota Get-Together, when he's preparing a gig at the grandstand, he's performing, then you kind of look a little bit small, rebelling to the degree that you and Kevin Seifert do.
First of all, I like anybody saying I look small. Second of all, the flaw here is that he's probably a fairly well-adjusted human being. And that is the armor that you will never be able to crack getting me to the fair. Especially because I used to go just for the Sweet Martha's cookies, but now there is a guy who will bring a bucket of Sweet Martha's cookies to the press box for the first home series.
That's obscene.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
That is really, it's like,
that's too easy.
It's like where people feed grapes to people
exactly. The emperor
or whatever. That's what I'm shooting for.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's way too easy.
Yeah. I've really painted quite a picture of my life at this point.
Actually, yeah.
It's only like a little exaggerated, but not much, really.
Have a wonderful fair, even though you're not going to show up.
You enjoy it as well.
Aaron Gleeman, top 5 at 5 is going to be maybe 520 Sports Fix, because I went long.
Well, we'll just go to 27.
I think we'll go to 27.
Yep,
we got the inbox yet to get to as well.
You're listening to Barrero on the Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report